Hi, all. Welcome to this Overdrive Live show, your one-stop shop for the latest reviews, news updates, and also a show where you get all questions answered. I see you guys have already started chatting about the new Octavia. Keep some of those questions for us as well. And do send us those questions in the comment section, and we'll try our best to answer as many as possible on the show. The review we are starting with today is the new generation Skoda Octavia that's just launched in the country, and as always, it targets the entry-level compact luxury sedans with its premium appointments. But is it still as value for money a proposition as before? Should existing Octavia and Laura owners upgrade to the fourth generation model? All these and many more questions answered in our review.
Hatchbacks and compact sedans continue to remain popular choices, but people upgrading from here are likely to now choose SUVs and crossovers. And that is the very reason why the executive or the premium sedan segments have taken a massive hit. One that has led to the demise of cars like the Civic and the Corolla. Now, the Elantra continues to soldier on, but one name that is very popular, that people seem very interested in, is the Octavia. That is a good news and a ray of hope for Skoda India, because there is now a new one. It wears a sharper style and a space lettering on the boot. The trademark C motif in the taillights isn't as prominent but looks edgier, and there is now a two-piece taillight design. There is a grinning front bumper too, like the Superb. Crisper lines and prominent creases for the shoulder and the clamshell bonnet, a more angular grille, and a very coupe-like silhouette for its notch-back body style. Of course, it looks very understated in a very Skoda fashion, but you won't mistake the Octavia for something else. Though, in a passing glance, the uninitiated might think of this to be a car from Ingolstadt, especially with those Audi TT-like DRL signatures. Now, these headlights, they incorporate adaptive LED lamps, which mean they auto-level, they'll also turn with your steering wheel, and though I've not been able to record it, let me tell you that these work exceptionally well at night. Also, I'm very glad that they've gone back to a single-piece headlight design, and when I say gone back, this is not a facelift, this is an all-new Octavia. It's based on the MQB Evo platform, like the Audi A3, and the new Octavia is now longer, wider and taller than the outgoing car, despite sitting on a hard-to-notice, marginally shorter wheelbase. Step in and you will be welcomed by an equally well-appointed interior. The cabin too is very understated in a very Skoda fashion, but you are likely to appreciate it. I, for one, certainly like the minimalist layout that you see in here. The virtual cockpit, it's crisp, easy to read, just like the easy to use and the slick MIB3 infotainment. Now, this is a 10.25-inch screen, and because this is MIB3, it's more responsive, it's easier to use. The layout is quite nice as well. It's compatible with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto and MirrorLink wirelessly, which is a big deal. You also get a wireless charger, and not just that, you also get a high-grade 12-speaker Canton audio on the LNK trim. And believe me, it sounds exceptionally good. That said, the cabin has a sizable list of safety features to secure its occupants. The materials used and the fit and finish is just as good as you would expect in a premium sedan of this order. Also, the black and beige combination that you had on the previous Skoda cars is gone. You get a new black and grey combination now, and I think it's a welcome change. Though I'm intrigued to see how these materials and how these colors and how all these patterns are going to age. What the front passenger seat also gets is ISOFIX child seat mounts. So if you think about it, the Octavia or the Citroën C5 Aircross are the least that you would have to buy if you want a child seat in the front. The comfort in the rear seat is quite good too. In fact, the contouring is quite nice. The angle of the backrest is very comfortable even for long distance journeys. Also, these extended squabs in the seat make for better under-thigh support. Now, because of the increased width of the car, you get better shoulder room as well. But because you also have this tunnel in the floor, this arrangement is only good for 2 adults and a kid. Now, even if you were to place the kids on the outer sides of the seats, they won't really complain much because the window line is nice and low, so visibility is excellent. Those looking for a more cozier feel get these retractable window blinds. And those wanting an airier feel than what this cabin already offers, well, you're going to miss the sunroof. The Octavia sedan or liftback seen here has a massive 600-litre boot space, and it gets lots of cargo nets because Skoda likes to add such versatility under its Simply Clever tag. Other such clever bits include the trademark umbrella pockets in the doors, a washer for the exposed reversing camera, a funnel and filter for the windshield washer reservoir, traction dots in the front cup holders that make one-handed bottle opening quite easy, touch-sensitive reading lamps, and there's also a roof-mounted USB-C port for powering dash cams, cradle mounts, etc. The Volkswagen Group is not going to offer any diesel engines in any of its group brands, at least until 2023. That is when the BS6 Stage B norms come out. So at least till then is the 2-litre TSI that will continue to lead the charge for the Octavia. Now the 1-litre TSI option was always there, but that would have been a little too small to go with the premium positioning of this car. There was the hybrids as well, but the hybrids would have made the car more expensive. The 1.5 TSI with the 150 PS, we've seen it in the Karoq, it's coming in the Kushaq. That engine might also make sense for this car, at least to bring down the entry price point, but that could be considered at a later stage. For now, it is the 2-litre engine. And there's nothing wrong with it. I think the 2-litre engine, in fact, marries very nicely with the kind of car this is. It's got 190 PS of power and the 320 Newton meters of torque. It's available from as low as 1500 RPM. So you're never really going to feel the dearth of power in this car at all, whether you're driving in the city or out on the highway. In fact, on the highway with that kind of torque coming in at such a low RPM, it runs in a very relaxed manner, almost like a diesel engine. So you don't really have to rev high for maintaining good highway speeds. And that clearly shows in great fuel economy for the highway as well. In the city, of course, the economy is not as good as a diesel, and the diesel was always a strong point for the Octavia. So some people are going to miss that with the new Octavia, but we all know where the fuel prices are going, and probably with that, and probably with the development costs of diesel in the current scheme of things, people wouldn't have even preferred buying a diesel with a car like the Octavia right now. So that is where Skoda is betting big on the petrol engine. The engine is mated to the DQ381 wet clutch gearbox, which is said to be more reliable than the DQ200 dry clutch gearbox. If you still have your apprehensions about the reliability of the gearbox, there is a comprehensive 4+2 warranty that is available on this car, which I think should put at least some of those concerns to ease. Now, the gearbox itself, it's a 7-speed DSG. It does its job quite well, whether you're driving in the city, whether you're driving on the highway. You suddenly want to pull overtakes and build speed. The upshifts, downshifts, they all come nice and quick. So the overall predictability of the gearbox is quite nice. The behavior is quite good. And if you do need manual override, there is always the paddle shifters behind the wheel. The engine isn't too noisy either, and save for the tire hum on concrete roads, the noise insulation of the cabin is fairly good, though maybe not as silent as the outgoing Superb. It's a pity that this powertrain doesn't come with driving modes. It certainly deserves them. The engine, it doesn't lurch forward all the time like an angry puppy, but you have to be measured with the throttle, because even a slight bit of dab on the throttle pedal, be a little bit heavy with your right foot, and you immediately realize that these 190 horses are just eager to deliver. And that's not a bad feeling, but it's one that needs getting used to. Similarly, even the engine braking is quite sharp. Especially when you are in that enthusiastic driving mode, you will realize that the engine braking is actually quite sharp, and for some people it might need getting used to. But if you're an enthusiast, I think you will enjoy it quite well. In terms of the physical brakes, the pedal feel, it's a bit spongy, but the bite is predictable, so nothing ever gets unnerving. Now, in a sea of crossovers and SUVs, a stiffly sprung sedan, well, it's not going to survive, and that's the reason why the Octavia has gone softer than before. What that translates into is a fair bit of vertical movement when you're driving over undulated surfaces, or when you're taking corner at speed, or when you're driving around winding roads. But all of those body movements are predictable. They are not unnerving. So once you get used to it, having fun with this car shouldn't be a problem at all, even if you're a driving enthusiast. I'm also glad that Skoda went with a 17-inch wheel instead of an 18 or a 19, because that again contributes to giving you that nice cushy ride. Even on some of the sharper bumps, you don't get any kind of thudding into the cabin, which again is good news. After spending 2 days and a few hundred kilometers behind this wheel, I can safely conclude that the new Octavia means business. As before, the Octavia continues to be a more sensible alternative to compact luxury cars, if a practical and premium family sedan is what you're looking for. To that effect, there is enough kit and premium feel in this car to make it a very compelling buy.
Next addition to the Sedan's lineup is expected to be the hot RS version, and Skoda will bring it down to our shores sometimes next year. This sports sedan will again be a CBU import and should be available in limited batches of around 150 to 200 cars and should be priced around the 35 to 36 lakh rupees price bracket. Let's bring Rohit and Rohit on the show. I see a lot of questions piling up.
Hello, Sohini. Hello, Bert.
Hi,
Hi, Rohit.
Rohit. Good evening. And good evening to all of our viewers out there. We have drawn a packed audience, an audience that I have never seen ever before for the likes of any other car. I think the only other car that will probably beat the Octavia, and this is a sedan, keep in mind, I think would be the Tesla, the Model 3. I guess that's the only other car that will draw this kind of an audience. But it's amazing today, in this day and age, that a sedan is commanding the kind of attention that it does. It is across YouTube, across Facebook, on Twitter. We've got record viewers right now. There's a lot of people watching this. So yes, the Octavia, I can completely get it. Rohit, you are the lucky guy who drove this car. I didn't do that story. You insisted coming. I'll come from Pune. I will pick up the car. I will drive it. You did all this tamasha with it. But yeah, I'm sure you had a great experience. And sometime soon, I hope to drive the car as well myself.
Absolutely, Bert. Absolutely. I mean, it's everything that I expected the Octavia to be. Like I said in the review, there are a few hits and misses. For the kind of price that it has come out at, I was expecting a little bit more kit. But very frankly, even without it, it's still a very nice package if someone doesn't mind spending that kind of money. Because I think that's going to be the biggest topic. Everyone, in fact, I think I even read a comment where they're expecting your rant, Bert, about the pricing. But yes, it is slightly on the higher side in terms of the pricing. But if you're on a budget and don't want to, stretch to an A-class or a 2 Series or any of the compact entry-level luxury brands, I think the Octavia will still leave you with that feeling of having a premium sedan at your disposal. And it's quite good to drive. I mean, it doesn't have the driving modes. I said that it deserves it, but I didn't complain about the lack of it. And that's because the way they've tuned the engine, the way they've tuned that powertrain, it's really nice. And having 190 horses, a 2-liter engine in this size, it's really nice. That engine impressed us in other applications like the Q2, the Superb, and now even with the Octavia, it continues to impress. It's a lovely engine. And, all these applications just show us what the scope of this engine is like. And the Octavia is just another feather in its cap. And I think as a package, it's really nice. There are only 2 things that I would complain about: the lack of ventilated seats and the lack of a 360-degree camera, because I think that a lot of people will be upgrading from maybe, compact crossovers or even compact sedans to the Octavia, because probably they've been saving up for a premium car, and they might just upgrade to the Octavia from there. And there it is a longish car at the end of the day. So, just instead of just parking sensors and a reversing camera, I think a 360-degree camera would have really made a lot of difference. And it shouldn't have been too difficult to incorporate, is what I believe. And that Skoda definitely should have done, especially considering the fact that the fat list of features that are going to come on the Kushaq. After that, some people in that same showroom might feel that the Octavia doesn't have enough kit. Though, like I said, and I'm again reiterating the same thing, that there are only 3-4 features that I really, really wanted on this car. But even without it, it's a really nice package. If you've been waiting to get yourself a premium sedan, I think it's a good buy. I know it's not a premium sedan. I know it is, an executive sedan, but now it is going very close to the kind of experience that the Superb has given us, sans the extra space, of course. So if you don't need that additional space, I think a lot of people will really see a lot of value in the new Octavia.
So guys, also do post your queries. We are here to answer them, and don't forget, the top 5 queries, up to 5 of the best queries, will stand a chance to win a year subscription to Overdrive's digital issue. We'll show you the latest issue in a short while, because we've got some very exciting news also for you coming your way about what is in our current issue. We'll show that to you very shortly. So just hold on to your horses, because it is, as I mentioned, on the other cars that's there on the issue, and that we're going to be talking about very, very shortly. So there you have it. But yeah, you know what? coming to my rant, 25 lakhs and above for the Octavia. Okay, let's go on to the pricing because that's what everybody's talking about. That's what everyone wants to hear. Is a fair amount of money to charge for a sedan. I still remember almost a decade and a half or 2 decades ago when the Octavia first made an appearance in India. It used to cost somewhere in the 12 to 13 lakh or 14 lakh rupee bracket. That was where it was priced, and back then also it was an expensive car. But those days the cost was justified because you didn't have anything else in the market similar to it. Very, very few cars. The Civic existed then, but not much more than that. The Elantra had still not come out, if I recollect it right, because there was only the Corolla, there was the Octavia, and of course the Civic. These are the 3 cars in that segment. The Elantra was still not there. But today that segment is a dwindling segment. That entry luxury segment, where the Octavia exists, is a dwindling segment. Numbers are absolutely dismal. But I would like to say a hats off to Skoda and to every other manufacturer who's present in the segment for providing those cars as of now. The Octavia nameplate, it's a very strong nameplate. It's got a great run. It has had a great run in India. Numbers are in the few hundreds at this point in time. On an average, you're looking at about Octavia doing about 700 units, which is not a great number. Considering that some of the other manufacturers in similar spaces, at least in the SUV spaces, for instance, are doing 7,000-8,000, SUVs for that matter. So it's a tough job for a sedan today, undoubtedly, to make a mark in any segment for that matter. But having said that, the Octavia is a great product. It's always been a great product. It's been a very aspirational product for a lot of people. A lot of people have very fond memories of the Octavia. They've enjoyed the car thoroughly. They've driven it to their heart's content. Even today, you will still see almost first generation cars on our roads. People still using them, happily using them for that matter. Yes, Skoda has got a few concerns to address as of now. One is ownership costs that need to come down. Of course, pricing now is a concern, and I completely understand where Skoda is coming from because it's a small market. The scale isn't there any longer. The only way to make this a viable business is to hike up the prices a bit to keep a slightly healthy margin, which sustains various other activities that Skoda would want to do and in order to support the Octavia in the market. Because you need to train employees, you need to make sure parts are available, you need to make sure customer experiences are rich throughout their journey with the Octavia, and all of this is going to cost money, and that money comes in from where the Octavia is priced at this point in time. So that's where the pricing is. I sympathize with Skoda. And I understand where they're coming from, but yes, it is expensive at the end of the day. My rant today, though, however, is not about where the pricing is necessarily. It's about the interior of that car. Rohit, this is the third car we've seen with that all-white interior, if I'm not mistaken. The first was the Tata Safari, then we saw the A-Class, and now, of course, we've got the Octavia as well. And I haven't got a clue what is it with manufacturers who are now offering these all white interiors. They look absolutely gorgeous, they're absolutely divine, very luxurious, very premium when they're new. But I know a few months from now, when you're going to be scrubbing or washing the outside of the car, you're definitely going to take a scrubber and start washing or cleaning off those interiors as well. Wherever that white leather, whitish or the creamy white leather that you can see, it's going to be an absolute pain in the wrong places to get those ultimately and keep those clean. I can already foresee a lot of owners putting seat covers on them, on the seats essentially. But this is going to be a major issue for a lot of people.
All right, we'll get to the questions. There are plenty of them. In fact, there's an interesting observation from Dodo Samuel. He says that is the Octavia getting closer to the Superb that it loses its identity that has long been well recognized as a brute? He also wants to know, Rohit, are both electronically adjustable?
Sorry, I didn't hear the second question, Sohini. Your voice cracked up there. I can see the first one on the screen though. So I'll begin with the first question. Hi, Dodo. So, well, it was, I don't know, when you say recognized as a brute, are you talking about it from terms of the design or, the sheer rock solid reliability of that car? If the reliability is what we're talking about, I think the new one is going to be equally reliable. I don't think there's too much to go wrong in that car. It doesn't have, too many electronics to really worry about. It feels like a solidly built car even now. In fact, when I said in my review that the suspension has gone a little softer, it's for the better. They are looking at giving you a slightly better or even much better, let's not say slightly, much better ride quality than what we've come to expect of all the European sedans. And Skoda has, seen this very closely with the kind of warranty claims that they've got, where they've had the cars scraping their underbelly often and having to, really settle all those claims every now and then. So now they've taken all of that into account. Yes, the ground clearance of the new Octavia is slightly lesser than the outgoing model, but like I even displayed or showcased in the video, it's not that big a worry. I don't know if the slightly shorter wheelbase helps here, but I did not scrape the underbody of the car anywhere. And in terms of that overall robust feel, it's still there. You still get that nice thud when you close the door. You still get that solid European build from the car. So all of that is really nice. The 2-liter TSI has proved its reliability over time. And the new DSG gearbox that goes into this car compared to the DQ200, the DQ381 wet clutch transmission is also said to be a lot more reliable, especially for our hot conditions. So in terms of reliability, I don't think there's going to be much of a concern. Is it going closer to the Superb? Yes, I think it's a phenomenon that we've seen across different models and across different brands. The 3 Series is almost the size of an older 5 Series. The 5 Series is getting almost to the size of a standard wheelbase 7 Series. So we've seen these cars getting bigger and bigger, and that's what's certainly going to happen because at the end, we want to claim better space, better features. So of course, it's going to start going up closer to the next model. And there's a new Superb on its way as well. So when that comes out, of course, that will again increase the gap between itself and the new Octavia that's just come out. So that's going to be a constant phase. We've been seeing that across models, and I don't think that's any different. And from that perspective, now I think that where people they'll see a Kushaq on the same floor. A few months later, they'll see the Slavia on the same floor, which are expected to have a slightly better kit of features compared to the Octavia. And there, that price of the Octavia might just change the whole value proposition, because Octavias, apart from being robustly built and brutes, they've also been value for money. One of the biggest reasons why the Octavias or that segment of a car from Skoda has always been welcomed by the Indian market is because we are a value conscious market, and we've seen a lot of value in those products. And now at this particular price point, people may or may not see that value. And that is, where I'm not sure how the Octavia is going to be looked upon. But my other perspective to this is, if you look at the crossovers that are residing in this particular segment, the only viable options right now in that particular segment from the crossover realm, according to me, is the Jeep Compass and the Citroen C5 Aircross. Now, the C5 Aircross, again, hasn't given us the kind of features we expected. The Compass is the only one that comes close to the Octavia in terms of the features. In fact, goes a little ahead in terms of features, gets connected tech as well. And that's the only one that comes close to the Octavia in terms of the premium feel. So if you're looking at that premium vehicle at that particular price point, these are your only two options. And if you don't want a crossover, then you're back to the Octavia. That's the only sedan option that you have for that money.
There's a question, in case you can't hear me, from Rahul Samel.
As auto gearbox cars like the Octavia are coming with electronic switch instead of mechanical gear lever, does it have any fail safe? Yeah, there are fail safes. All of these cars with newer transmission, how do I say it? Let me say selectors, for instance, whether it's a selector on the steering column that you have, if it's just a button that you've got on the center stack or on the steering wheel, or just a regular transmission stick lever you have. All of these have got fail safes. The chances of something going wrong are very, very few. In the electronic versions where you just got button selectors, for instance, you've also got paddle shifts, to get you manual mode and all of these happening. So yes, most of these systems have been tested thoroughly. These aren't trial and error any longer. Keep in mind, when they offer this, especially for European conditions, they cannot afford to go wrong with these transmission systems, essentially because they will land a lot of most international global manufacturers, for that matter, cannot just innovate and assume that let's try it out on the consumers and see what they have to. We will get feedback from them whether it works or not, and then we will correct it. That does not happen any longer. Yes, there's still some issues may be there, could be there. It's always, manufacturing is a long, lengthy, complicated process, and something or other can get wrong. Tolerances can go wrong, fixtures can be in the wrong place. Something could happen, but these are very rare, of course, and we hope that there isn't anything wrong. But yeah, it should be a completely comfortable car to drive, irrespective of what kind of transmission lever it does have.
All right,
Um,
here's a question from Purav. Are there any plans for a mild hybrid or perhaps even an estate variant in India?
on the Octavia, I don't. There aren't any plans for any mild hybrids or even for the estate version in India as of now. Purav. There is nothing of that sort. The only one that will come out in terms for the Octavia will now, of course, be the RS, which is next year. But that's the only other. That's the only third variant that will come out in the Octavia.
All right, and Gopal Sharma wants to know, Skoda planning, sorry, is it showing a VRS
Yeah, India.
Octavia for India?
No, the Octavia VRS will definitely be a CBU. They've never done a VRS because it's even smaller numbers and it just doesn't make sense to manufacture or to do a CKD operation. This will be completely built up units that they will import from the Czech Republic and will, of course, sell that in India.
All right, here's one from Aniket Pal. Is there any chance? Sorry, I'm just lagging, so I'm not being able to read the
Is there any
question.
chance that Skoda would give a manual transmission and would bring the cost down to a certain extent? Your thoughts? Again, I don't think so. Most of these manufacturers, at least the European manufacturers, are strictly staying with automatic transmissions for now. It would be nice to see a manual transmission with the Octavia. It would be a lot more fun to drive, given the kind of dynamics that Rohit has just mentioned. But I don't see a manual transmission option coming anytime soon in the market.
No, but I'll just add to that. The only way that the pricing could come down is the introduction of a 1.5 variant using the same 1.5 TSI engine that we've seen in the Karoq and the one that's coming in the Kushaq as well. But again, that's still left to speculation. We did ask Skoda about it. Denied, nor have they confirmed that it could be added because at the same time, also remember that with the outgoing Octavia, the 1.4 did not get them the kind of numbers that they would have expected with that lower entry price tag. People were still preferring the 1.8 and the top end variants at that. So, they might just stick to the 2 liter. But you never know if the demand for a slightly cheaper lower end variant is there. If they see enough demand for it, it shouldn't be difficult for them to do a 1.5 Octavia as well.
All right, if we can, should we switch to other questions as well, or is there anything else, Bert, that you've spotted?
Well, nothing. We can switch to some other questions, other queries as well. There are some other questions coming up also.
Okay, here's one from Apurv. He says that there have been reports of US manufacturers deleting some features such as digital instrument clusters in order to reduce dependence on semiconductors. Are Indian manufacturers following suit?
Well, as of now, there aren't any changes that Indian manufacturers have incorporated into their cars. Nothing that's immediate. But yes, the possibility that the semiconductor shortage isn't going to go away anytime soon. It's just getting worse by the day because there are several other issues in countries where semiconductors are manufactured, and the demand apparently is increasing even further. A few reports that I read very recently, just 2 days ago, cited that this demand is growing even stronger. And the demand is not coming just from the automotive industry. The semiconductors, it's similar to everybody else, it's just programmed in a particular way. But there is a higher demand coming from the electronics industry and from other technology services. So the automotive industry has got to face the brunt of this. Yes, in the US, several manufacturers are taking steps to rectify the situation and offering analog systems, going back to analog systems in certain cases where they can, but the shortage is going to continue. Indian manufacturers have not made that shift as of now, but I presume in some time they could. Keep in mind, development for Indian manufacturers first factors in just the Indian market. For a global manufacturer, since it's a larger volume, they sell cars in various places around the world. It's simpler for them in that sense to kind of incorporate a change because then the scale also is there where they're offering those particular cars. For Indian manufacturers, all of this is made in India, largely made for India and sells in India, except for the few who got exports. But because the volume is still limited, it doesn't become a very feasible thing for them to kind of develop something entirely new and then offer it in a product. It doesn't make viable business sense.
All right. Amit wants to know, when is the Hilux expected in India?
Well, I'm hoping soon, and I'm hoping at a price definitely better than what the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross is priced at. But yeah, from what we hear is it could come in very, very soon.
All right. Rohit, there's a question from Aniket Pal. He says Honda has patented clutch-by-wire technology for its bikes. What do you think about that?
Well, Aniket, it's not a bad idea. We all know that we've all started enjoying quick shifters on motorcycles. So clutchless shifting is something that we've started enjoying. Similarly, just the way Bert talked a little while back about the shift-by-wire technology, we are looking at slightly similar school of thoughts here when we are doing a clutch-by-wire, right? So if you do not need to use the clutch at all, or even if the clutch modulation is going to be taken care of away by the computer, where you are using the clutch, but the computer is only deciding, how much of it to really take into account to preserve the gearbox, to preserve the clutch. It's not a bad thing. We've seen this. The typical newbie problem that we've seen is people burning their clutches. The other problem that we've seen is, especially in traffic jams or in hot conditions like ours, we always have the problem of overcooked clutches, right? Because of the kind of conditions that we are driving in. So if the clutch by wire is going to address all these concerns, take them out, why not? So there is a lot that is happening in this particular department right now. If you read this month's issue of Overdrive, we've also talked about how Kawasaki is now filed in a patent for a clutchless system altogether. Here we are talking about clutch by wire by Honda, and then Kawasaki is now looking at something similar, but they are just removing the whole hardware of having a clutch lever altogether. That's going out. You may not have a clutch lever at all. It's very similar to what Hyundai and Kia have done with the IMT in the Venue and the Sonnet. So not a bad system to have, really, because I've been using the Venue IMT for some time now, and I'm sort of used to it now. I don't have to press the clutch. The learning curve is not too big, and I'm enjoying the benefits of it. So, we'll obviously have our own viewpoint on this once we actually ride a motorcycle that has this system, so that we can also look at what the pros and cons are out in the real world. But as of now, at least on paper, I think it has a lot of merit, and something that we should all look forward to. We've all already seen what the Africa Twin Automatic has done for us. We all frowned upon it when we read it on the spec sheet, and then when we actually rode it, we saw the benefits of it. So I'm sure especially someone like Honda will not do something if there is going to be no benefit for the end user on this.
All right, here's a question from Purav. With the decline in mid-size sedans, is there some room for larger hatchbacks like the Ford Focus and Volkswagen Golf in India?
Purav, this is a very old question. A lot of people have asked us this in the past as well, and they keep asking us, and you just asked us again. But with the decline, yes, there is a decline of mid-size sedans, but the attention largely is veering towards SUVs. SUVs are commanding higher and higher percentage of the market share at this point in time. They've almost overtaken sedans, and the only reason they haven't is because the sedans like the Desire and others, they exist, which still commands a huge volume. So those cars, basically, those kind of sedans, they essentially bring the sedan numbers up. But if you have to just take in the premium categories, then the SUVs today far outnumber sedans being sold. Like I mentioned, the sedans that we're talking about, for instance, the Octavia, the Elantra, the Corolla, the numbers are absolutely distinct. There's a few hundred cars that the manufacturers sell every month, and that's a very, very small number. It's a very difficult it's a very difficult path to tread on for these sedans. Now, does this mean that there is room for larger hatchbacks? Absolutely not. First and foremost, because cars like the Ford Focus and the Volkswagen Golf, Volkswagen had considered bringing the Golf into India some time back. They had done feasibility studies with this, and essentially what they found out is that something like the Golf would also be priced in the almost 20 lakh rupee bracket, and this is, I'm talking about, almost 6-7 years ago. So today the price would be even higher. So does it make sense to bring something like the Golf into India? Absolutely not. Also keep in mind, in various other countries, especially in Europe, there are certain hatchbacks also that are considered the equivalent of sedans, and they're bought as alternatives to sedans. And some of the hatchbacks are far more expensive than competitive or comparative sedans for that matter. It's quite possible that the Golf might come in at a price point which should probably be equal to where the Octavia sits at this point in time. So it is not a feasible plan for any manufacturer to get a product that is that expensive and something that just won't sell, which doesn't make sense. Emotionally, I can understand it. They're great cars, they're fantastic cars, and what you want to drive is the Focus RS or the Golf GTI. Those are the kind of cars that you want to drive, not just the regular everyday hatchbacks, because the practicality just isn't there. You get a little more space in the sedan compared to what you get in the hatchback, especially boot space. But then the argument also comes that I get even more space and practicality in an SUV. So that's where manufacturers are now making this shift towards SUVs rather than hatchbacks or sedans for that matter. So no, there isn't a business case for the Golf or the Focus in India at this point in time. It'd be very difficult for manufacturers to make that agenda work in this country.
All right. Here's a question from Rakesh Kumar. He wants to know, why is Toyota not launching the leading car models in India?
Why is Toyota not launching the leading car models in India? Rakesh Kumar, good question, but I'd like to ask you, and you could probably respond right away also, is which cars are you talking about specifically? Some of the best-selling cars anywhere in the world are the Corolla and the Camry, and both of those are sold here in India. Beyond that, there are other products that they sell as well. Even the Fortuner or even the Innova, for that matter, are some of the highest selling products, especially in India, of course, but also in Southeast Asian markets. So yes, they do have some of their strongest products here in India. Now, if you're talking about some of the more glamorous products, whether it's the Corolla Cross, someone recently asked me on Twitter about, an opinion about the Corolla Cross, which I haven't driven, but it's a funky looking SUV. It's very interesting to look at, and it probably will ride and drive well. But let's look at it like this. Japanese manufacturers are extremely slow to make a shift in India to offer newer and newer products. They just won't do that. They're just not ready to take that step. They simply won't get new, or rather flood the market with the kind of products that they have. They're very specific. They really understand what the Indian consumer wants. They're very specific about what they will offer to those consumers, because at the end of the day, they see high volumes and they see great profitability from the kind of products that they offer in India. So in Toyota's case, for instance, the Corolla is a profitable product, the Innova is extremely profitable, and so is the Fortuner. All these three products do extremely well in our market. So they don't need to go beyond that and experiment with certain segments. They don't do the kind of volumes, because the investments are also high and you want a specific return on that investment. So they want to see volumes. They are more about volumes for that matter, whether it's Toyota, whether it's Honda, for that matter. So that's one of the reasons why Honda, for instance, discontinued the Civic. It just didn't make any sense. It didn't make sense to service that product in India any longer, because it just wasn't selling in enough numbers. So that way, the other part is also that the Japanese manufacturers are extremely slow in taking these decisions. They will, they will weigh the pros and cons of this for several years before actually coming down with the product in the Indian market. If you look at Toyota, they've just had those 4 products, and everything else that they've done have been aberrations for that matter. Whether it was the Etios, the Viva, or Sedan, whichever way you look at it. I mean, there were some things that they were trying their hand out. They weren't very successful. But now what they've latched on to is the joint association with Maruti, for instance. And that is effectively bearing them a lot more fruit than any other project that they have ventured on or in the small compact segments. So they're doing extremely well with the Glanza. They're very happy with the way that is going. The urban cruiser numbers have still not come up to a respectable mark, but I assume that also will in over a period of time. And then, of course, there are the other products also that are coming out. There's another hatchback that they're coming out very shortly that will probably be built by both Maruti and by Toyota. And the work that's going on EVs and, of course, hybrids as well, hybridization as well. So all of this will be coming in slowly and steadily. Like I said, Japanese, they're slow about their decisions, but they make very solid decisions and they're fully committed to it. And also, once they've made a product, it's not entirely necessary for them to keep changing or updating the product, because that one product is effectively good for a whole generation, for a whole decade for that matter. It's good enough. Keep in mind, last generation Innova, how many changes did it go through? Probably 2, at the most 3 over its entire life cycle. Not like other manufacturers get out something new every single year. We need to refresh it, facelift it, and all of those things. No, the Innova sold the way it was for almost a decade without anyone ever complaining or saying or asking for even more. We want a better sound system. We want better entertainment. We want better air conditioning. We want better seats. We want it to look fresher. None of that happened. It was really, really late in life when these cosmetic changes came about, feature changes came about. And even today, the current Innova also, it's been in the market for a really, really long time. They haven't done much with it in that sense. And no one's really asking for it also. People are quite happy with the way the product is, the way it performs, and there really aren't any demands. But with every other manufacturer, everyone wants something new, wants it to be better than what it used to be. So this is one thing that works extremely well for the Japanese manufacturers. And that's one of the reasons why they don't do too many car models and focus on those few, but do them well.
All right, we'll take one last question before we dive into the news section. Yash wants to know, any new sub 20 lakh rupee EV coming anytime soon?
Yes, I think there is the Ultros EV that was shown to us at the Auto Expo. That will certainly be what we are hearing. That car has been on test. There is the updated Tigor EV, which now aims to come to the market with a lot many new features. and make it a viable, option for a lot of private owners as well. So I think these two are certainly coming. Then Mahindra has recently announced that they are looking to launch quite a few products in the EV space, and some of these will be under 20 lakh rupees. So yes, there will be quite a few entrants. I think everyone's just waiting for the right time now. Because of the pandemic, things have been very slow. And especially for something like an EV, I think people will want to wait for the market to be slightly better. The manufacturers will want to wait for the market to be slightly better. But I think the immediate product that you should look forward to is the Altroz EV that will come out very soon.
So one very interesting question, Sohini. Again, Dennis Nicholas has asked us this: any chance that Toyota would launch a genuine Land Cruiser with any mechanical changes in the future? Well, we just saw the Land Cruiser, the new generation Land Cruiser. We saw those images coming out, and that yes, at some point Toyota will offer that in India, because that's one of their halo or other flagship products. They have introduced those products in India before. They've done, I wouldn't say great numbers, but it's a product that they will continue to sustain and will continue to service and continue to offer to Indian consumers, because there is an affinity. People do appreciate the Land Cruiser and what it stands for, what it represents, and they might probably offer it again in India as well. It will be phenomenally expensive. I'm trying hard not to use expletives over here, but that is going to be a frightfully expensive SUV. Keep in mind, large generation Land Cruiser retail for almost 1.5 CR. So it just, I mean, it is the way it is. And I've spoken to Toyota about this in the past, and it's very clear CBUs, even today, command very high duties and taxes. So it's just not an affordable option any longer. And numbers and volumes just aren't enough for Toyota to consider even bringing it in as a CKD. So it doesn't make any sense. But it will always be very, very expensive. But those products will come into the market as well. Also, to answer the other part of the question, sorry about it, coming in mechanical changes, I'm not sure what exactly do you mean, but keep in mind, all of these next generation SUVs, all these new products are now coming out with more and more electronics on them. There's nothing mechanical or very few mechanical aspects to it. A lot of it will still be electronically controlled.
Okay, but Rohit, if you can just confirm that you can hear me, or else... Am I audible?
Clearly audible. You are absolutely audible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll just dive into the news section. We've seen quite a few premium luxury cars launch earlier this week, with the uber luxurious Mercedes-Maybach GLS 600 launched in the country, priced at a whopping 2.43 crore rupees. The company already received 50 bookings for the GLS, completely selling out its 2021 stock, with more prospective owners in various stages of the buying process. The Maybach GLS 600 is one of the 15 new models from Mercedes-Benz in India this year, and we'll get you a detailed review pretty soon, so keep that bell notification on. Lamborghini India has launched the Huracan Evo rear-wheel drive Spyder in the country at 3.54 crore rupees ex-showroom India. The rear-wheel drive Evo Spyder sits 32 lakh rupees above the rear-wheel drive Evo Coupe, launched in 2020, and comes in at 20 lakh rupees below the all-wheel drive Evo Coupe and further 55 lakh rupee below the all-wheel drive Evo Spyder variant. The coupe is powered by a 5.2-litre naturally aspirated V10 engine, mated to a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic, and sprints from 0 to 100 kmph in just 3.5 seconds, which though is 0.2 seconds slower than the rear-wheel drive coupe. Also, its folding fabric roof operates in 17 seconds. Jaguar India has launched the facelifted F-Pace in India in the standard R Dynamic S trim at 69.9 lakh rupees ex-showroom. This facelift comes with plenty of exterior and interior changes, and the SUV now boasts of the latest tech. The cabin gets a new 11.4-inch curved glass PB Pro infotainment system, updated 12.3-inch driver's display that indicates turn-by-turn navigation and multiple dial layouts. The F-Pace is offered with a 2-litre Ingenium petrol and diesel engine, and is mated to an 8-speed automatic gearbox and gets standard all-wheel drive. Hyundai India has started accepting bookings for its 6 or 7-seater SUV Alcazar for a token amount of 25,000 rupees. You can check with a dealer closest to your home, or you can opt for the click-to-buy option online. Hyundai has also released images of the cabin of this SUV. You can take a look for more details on this SUV on the Overdrive website. That's www.overdrive.co.in. Over to you, Rohit. I believe you spotted an upcoming Skoda sedan recently.
Sorry. Yes, I did. It's
Before
likely
you
to.
start, hang on. I want to raise a point over here. And that's that in all of this news, nobody's raised a point about how the GLS and the Huracan Evo rear-wheel drive Spyder are so expensive. But 25 lakhs for an Octavia, and everyone got their pants into, put their pants on fire. Then what the hell is so expensive? So all of you guys watching out there, man, you had a week that has some enormously exorbitant cars coming up, and what you cribbed about was an Octavia charging you 25 lakh plus rupees for that. Seriously, guys, I mean, come on.
Right then. So moving on the same topic, yes, you guys complained about the pricing of the Octavia, but one more reason that could have led to the starting price of the Octavia to be slightly on the higher side is because they had to create room. That's what I believe. They had to create room between them, between the Octavia and the Rapid for this car that you see on the screen. It's likely to be called the Skoda Slavia. It has been spike testing in the Indian market now, on the Indian roads. And this looks very similar to the Russian spec Rapid, but this will be based on the A0iN platform, the same one that will underpin the Kushaq as well. Now, this car is a size larger than the Rapid that we know. It's almost going to be as large, or maybe even a little larger than the Honda City, which is right now the roomiest car in the mid-size sedan segment. And because this car shares its underpinnings with the Kushaq, expect similar engine options: a 1 liter TSI for the base and a 1.5 TSI for the higher variants. And there could be automatic and manual options with both these engines that will be offered with this car. Now, in terms of, I've personally seen this car being tested on the road, and it looks large. It looks huge. It is going to be a liftback like the Octavia, which means that the rear windshield will also open with the boot lid, with the tailgate. So it is going to be a liftback. So practicality is going to be excellent. In fact, from the size of it, it almost looks as big as the second generation Octavia or Laura that was sold to us. In fact, there are some reports that also suggest that this could actually be called the Laura from 2022 when it launches. But the other report suggests that it could be the Slavia. Now, the Slavia name comes from a concept car that Skoda had revealed earlier. It is a two-seater sports car, convertible. This, however, is a sedan, a proper four-door liftback sedan. And like I said, quite large at that. It will have a 10-inch screen. It will have digital instrumentation. Like I said, maybe automatic transmissions as well, including a DSG on the 1.5. It will have cylinder deactivation. So I think this is going to be one of the smallest sedans to get a cylinder deactivation function. And of course, it will also spawn a Volkswagen variant, likely to be called the Virtus. Now, the Virtus was also being tested in a left-hand drive avatar in the Indian market. But this, what you see here, is the spec model. This is not a left-hand drive. This is a right-hand drive car, and this is the actual car that will be launched. Now, we are expecting Skoda to, in fact, we read a tweet from, or rather some post from Zach Hollis, where he mentions that all the details about this product will be revealed later this year. So I'm guessing somewhere around the festive season, maybe somewhere around Diwali, we'll have a sneak peek of what this vehicle is, what the tech specs are going to be, what the features are going to be, just the way they started a drip feed of information on the Kushaq before its launch. I think they'll do something similar with this sedan as well. And that is hopefully when we'll know what the name of this car is going to be like. And we should have more details. But I think a late 2021 or an early 2022 is the expected time period for this vehicle. It will be launched between 11 to 16 lakh rupees. And since the Rapid is already running powertrains that are BS6 compliant, there's every chance that this vehicle will coexist with the Rapid, because that way Skoda will be able to take on the sub 4 meter sedans with the Rapid, with that interesting price tag that it has, that Rapid Rider that always keeps getting sold out every time a new batch arrives. They might continue doing that, continue reaping the benefits of that vehicle, and then you will have on a slightly higher end this particular vehicle, which will bridge the gap between the Rapid and the newly launched Octavia. So that is what we have. Producer, should we move on to the next set of spy shots that we have, or do we have any questions about the Slavia that we need to take?
Well, I did see a question about the Slavia. Someone asked whether this would just be another Rapid No, sorry, one sec. I've lost that question. I was actually scrolling through it.
But your mic is mute.
Sorry. So that was Yash Ojha who's asked us if it's the next generation of the Rapido Vento. No, Yash, this is not the next generation of the Rapid Vento.
Also, somebody wanted to know, Rohit, is the estimation of the pricing correct, or is it going to be more expensive?
Well, it could go higher. You never know. We'll have to wait and watch. This is our estimate at the moment, looking at where the Rapid is, since they might coexist. And since looking at the market, where the other sedans, Honda City being the all-new sedan in this particular segment, there'll be a new Ciaz. There's expected to be a new Verna as well, which might push the price bracket a little higher. So you never know, because always remember, Skoda is not going to bring in a diesel. Whereas not the Maruti Suzuki, but Honda and Hyundai both have diesel options, which are around that 16 lakh rupee mark at the moment. So Skoda probably wouldn't want to exceed the cost of a Honda City diesel or a Hyundai Verna diesel with a petrol engine. So but you never know. It could go higher. We've seen the pricing of the Octavia, and the 1.5 TSI is not going to be a cheap engine, of course, with its cylinder deactivation tech, and if it comes with a DSG on the automatic variants, and again that kind of power, it may not be a cheap engine. And at the end of the day, Skoda would want to position themselves at a slightly premium end of the segment. So yes, it could get higher as well. But this is the ex-showroom price that we are talking about. So 11 to 16 is our estimate at the moment.
Right, Rohit. I don't think we have any more questions regarding the Slavia. You can go ahead with the motorcycle news.
Are we not talking about the other
Oh,
set
yes.
of spy shots that we
Oh,
have?
yes. Sorry.
Let's not forget about that, please.
Exactly. So what we have on
Out there.
yes, for everyone who is looking forward to EVs, who supports EVs, well, we all knew that Tesla is coming to the Indian market, right? And finally, we have spotted the car on test today. It is the Tesla Model 3, Tesla's best-selling EV. In fact, I think this is the best-selling EV in the world since 2020. So that model has been caught on test. You can see the red plate. It's an MH14 plate. It has been caught on test today. To just quickly refresh your memory, the Tesla Model 3 was launched back in July 2017 globally, and it is expected to come to India sometime later this year or maybe early 2022. It is assembled at the moment in either the United States or in China, and it's got 4 battery capacity options: 54, 62, 75, or 82 kilowatt, with a range anywhere between 354 to 568 kilometers. That's EPA certified. And it's also got the fully autonomous driving hardware. Now, that bit obviously won't come to the Indian market because the Indian government is not going to allow fully autonomous driving modes in the car. So that will, in all likelihood, be deactivated. The entire kit will be deactivated for the Indian market. But it will be interesting to see what kind of battery options do they bring to the table, what kind of variants do they plan and design for the Indian market. What you see here is the dual motor tagging on the tailgate. And this is the Model 3. In fact, I had a chance to drive a Model 3 a few years back, and I was quite astonished with what the vehicle brings to the table, because it's not just another car that is powered by an electric drivetrain. It's got some really cool features. The way the infotainment is, the UI, or as well as how the doors unlock. It's got some nice features which sort of add a lot of novelty and freshness to what we know of the automobile so far. So there will be a lot to look forward to. Now, globally, this car goes up against the likes of the Mercedes-Benz C-Class, the BMW 3 Series, or the Audi A4. And I'm expecting a similar kind of pricing, or maybe, and rather hoping that it will be slightly cheaper in India as well. How it's going to arrive into India, I'm not very sure yet. Is it going to be CBU or CKD? If Bert has some info on that, he will certainly chip in with that information. But yeah, like I said, I think late 2021 or early 2022 is the estimate on when they will start selling this car. Again, I think they will follow the online sales model for the Tesla in India as well. So I'm not sure yet. Those are still speculations. But yeah, we've seen the car on the Indian road now, so it's certainly coming. And the other good news is, if you want to read our review of the Tesla Model 3, we have as the cover story on the Overdrive May issue. That's the magazine cover for you. So if you haven't checked it out already, do get your digital copy. You can download it right away, or you can just get a hard copy of the of the stands. Take your pick, or maybe just post some nice questions on today's show. And if Bert likes them, you have a chance to win 1 year's digital subscription. And well, it will still not give you this issue because your subscription will start from the next issue onwards. So
Rohit,
do we have any?
I'm very intrigued about one aspect. I'm very intrigued about one aspect on those spy shots of the Tesla Model 3 that you got. It's got the MH14 plates, and which
Yes.
is registered in, which is with the Pimpri RTO, which is closer to Pune. But
Correct.
rumors are very strong that Tesla's headquarters would be in Bombay, maybe not in Bangalore. Bangalore may just be manufacturing operations, but headquarters would be based out of Bombay. I would have expected a Bombay RTO TC plate, but this is very intriguing that they've got a Pune or rather a Pimpri registration number on that MH14 TC, and I wonder where they're running it from. Quite likely now that also one of the showrooms that would come up in the first phases may be from Pune itself. It's quite likely this is what is happening. I don't see any other reason as to why and how they've got the MH14 TC plates.
Correct. You're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, that needs a deeper investigation on why is it MH14. But yeah, I'm guessing these could be ARAI tests that are happening as well. But that would still ARAI is still situated in Pune. That's still MH12.
They would definitely be running
Exactly.
homologation tests at this point in time, but it's
Correct.
still very intriguing as to why they got those
Why is
MH14
it
TC
MH14?
plates. You mind every time we get some of these test cars, let's say assume from Volkswagen or Mercedes-Benz, they come with MH14 TC plates, and that's also because they've got the manufacturing units right there in Pune.
Correct.
So I'm quite intrigued now as to what's happening and how are these cars, sporting those MH14 trade plates, trade certificates.
And then we have to address Mayur's.
Are they shifting manufacturing from Bangalore or from Karnataka to Maharashtra? You never know.
You never know.
We have to take Mayur's question. He wants to know why are people so excited about Tesla and not about McLaren?
McLaren, I mean, 3 people in the country might buy that car here, and that's about it. And 10 other journalists will drive that car, and that will be the end of it. And that's where it's going to go. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at a car. Let's look at what Ferrari sells in India, and those volumes are negligible. But that's essentially where the business model is. Until unless McLaren comes out with an SUV, there really isn't much room for them to do tremendously great work in India. It's great for a few for the importer for that matter, which is Infinity, who's bringing down McLaren to India. It's great for him. He will do some amount of business and reap some decent rewards out of it. But I think in the long run, this is another of those projects that might not go anywhere unless you've got great and strong financial backing to keep this project sustained for a very, very long time. Keep in mind, once you sold those cars, you need to service them, you need to take care of them, and all this costs money. And I don't know how many, and you need to expand as well, because it's not just Bombay, you need dealerships, and you need at least showroom in Delhi and possibly one in Bangalore or Kochi, because these are the markets where these cars sell in decent numbers. But yeah, I don't see how successful this will be at this point in time. It's a very, very tough market to exist in, and unless you've got really deep pockets, something of this sort will not carry on for a very long time.
He has a question from Anish as well. He says that Elon Musk said the new Model S plate broke under 2-second milestone. Are you surprised by this?
Am I surprised by this? I'm not surprised by this. I have driven some electric cars. I've driven fully modified. I can't. For some reason it escapes me. One of the Nissan models, not the GT. I think there was a specialized version made at a Nissan event that I ran in the US, and that thing was bloody quick. That thing was just enormously quick, and I don't. I think that was also almost a sub 2-second car. So I don't see why it's not possible with a Tesla. It's quite easy to do that. Electric motors today, the way they deliver power to the 4 wheels is phenomenal. Even the Model 3, for instance, you've got that track mode where you can choose torque vectoring, or at least decide where you want power to be delivered: front wheels, rear wheels. Optimize it 50-50 or 60-40, 30-70, or majority of the torque going to the rear wheels, front wheels. You can decide how to do this and get astonishing performance figures from these cars. So it's quite possible, it's quite likely that something of this sort might have already happened.
All right, I think we don't have any more questions regarding the Tesla. Rohit, anything else you'd like to add?
I did want to take. Sanjay Patil asked us if there was any news on the Indian scrappage policy. Sanjay, had advised you to get to the website because there's a story on scrappage policy. If Sohini can just flash that image of the cover also, it's there in our latest issue. We've taken a deep look into the entire scrappage policy and what's happening, and looked at all the aspects around it. Sohini, do you think it's possible to flash the cover again?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the producer to do it.
Okay, there you go. And if you look at the left bottom corner, the scrap yardstick, that's an entire story that we've done. Simran's worked very hard on getting that story out, but it tells you everything that you would want to know about the scrappage policy, the ins and outs of it, and what to expect from it. So you grab that copy, if you really ask me a better question about this, I'll possibly award one of these digital subscriptions to you, and you can then, of course, read the issue and get all your information. Nonetheless, it's there on the website. You can definitely read about everything you want to know about the scrappage policy.
Since we're still on the topic of electric vehicles, there's one more here. What about 73 kilowatt hour MG ZS? When is that coming to India? Inder Preet wants to know.
I think Inderpreet asked us this question the last time also about when the MG ZS is coming with the 73 kilowatt hour motor. But there is again no information on this as at this point. MG has got other plans as well and other products that they want to bring out to the market, as well as sustain their business with the existing line of products. But I believe that we will see some action in this space, especially with the MG EVs. We will see them action in this space closer to the end of the year or early next year. So just keep your fingers crossed that they do the 73 kilowatt hour version as well.
All right, Rohit, you can take us through the motorcycle news, please.
Sure. So let's begin with Ducati. Earlier this week, they finally launched the V4 and the Diavel in the BS6 avatar. In fact, those of you regular to the show would remember that we had the MD from Ducati India come in and confirm that the models were on their way and just a few days away, and here they are. So the 2021 Ducati Panigale V4 is now priced at 23.5 lakh rupees ex-showroom India, whereas the V4S is priced at 28.4 lakh rupees ex-showroom India. Both the bikes are, of course, both the variants are powered by the same engine. It's a 1103 V4 with a max power of about 217 PS and 124 Newton meters of torque. It has, of course, the latest generation of electronics that you can expect and that you would want on a liter class motorcycle of this order. The V4S, of course, gets the electronically controlled suspension, whereas the standard gets the SAC suspension. As for the Diavel 1260, well, that has been launched at 18.49 lakh rupees at showroom, and the Diavel 1260S is 29.49 lakh. Now that is powered by the 1262cc V-twin engine. It's got a max power of 164 PS and a max torque of 129 Newton meters. The S variant, of course, has better electronics, better features like the bi-directional quick shifter, the Brembo brakes, and a fully adjustable Öhlins suspension. Well, that's it from Ducati. Now, the only thing that we're waiting for from Ducati is, of course, the Multistrada V4, and that should be out, I am guessing, by the end of this month. So we'll have info on that as well when it comes out. The next news comes from the Triumph camp. The Speed Twin that we showed you last week, the first look of which we showed you last week, I told you that the bookings were expected anytime soon, and well, the pre-bookings have opened now for a token amount of 50,000 rupees. To quickly refresh your memory, it's powered by the 1200cc parallel twin engine. It puts out about 100 PS of power and 112 Newton meters of torque. And the launch is expected to happen sometime by the end of this month, is what Triumph tells us. Again, depending on how the unlock happens for the country and where we are with respect to the pandemic. So it should happen sometime by the end of this month or maybe by July. But like I said, the pre-bookings have now opened. So if you're interested, visit your closest Triumph dealership. If you would rather be interested in Kawasaki, well, Kawasaki is offering some big discounts right now. Not very big, but about 30,000 rupees off on the Versys 650, the Vulcan S, the W800, and the Ninja 1000 SX. The Ninja 1000, of course, catches my fancy here because we've always said that it's already a very value for money motorcycle. We have a nice review up on Overdrive about choosing between the Versys 1000 and the Ninja 1000. And now the Ninja 1000 SX with this discount bears a sub 11 lakh rupee price tag, 10.99 to be precise. That's the ex-showroom price, of course, but I think that's tremendous value for money. But if you would rather settle for something like a Versys 650 for your touring, or if you're more interested in the classics or the cruisers like the Vulcan S, the W800, there are discounts being offered on that as well. So the prices after discount are what are being flashed on the screen right now. And like I said, the one that really catches my fancy here is the Ninja 1000 SX at 10.99x showroom. I think it is one very well priced sports tourer. Those are the only bits of news that we have from the motorcycle world as of now. Back to you, Sohini and Bert.
All right, Bert, we have a question from Abhishek Bhattacharya. He wants to know, going for the Porsche Cayenne Turbo Petrol, is it better than the RS Q8? He's in a serious dilemma.
Serious dilemma. Is going for the Porsche Cayenne Turbo Petrol better than the RS Q8? Well, no. When you're going for the RS Q8, you're essentially looking at a car that is slightly better than the Cayenne Turbo Petrol. It's out and out the, how would I put it? It's the compatriot to the Urus. That's what you're buying. You're buying the Audi version of the Urus. The Cayenne Petrol, though, I would suggest on a lot of parameters, it's the more comfortable car. It's got great dynamics. It's got great performance. Definitely not as good looking as the RS8. The RS8 will turn more heads, but then so will that Porsche badge outside the front of the Cayenne Turbo. And the Cayenne Turbo's got equal. It's a Porsche at the end of the day. What am I talking about? Just go out and buy it. I mean, seriously, that's what you're looking for. Going for the Porsche. It's not every day that you can own a Porsche. Probably the finest piece of German engineering you can ever get your hands on.
Rohit, last week, Krutik called us and he had a question for you. He's back again. He's saying that in last live session, he suggested to go for the Himalayan as he is oversized and has issues. Royal Enfield has 120 days or 120 days he's written waiting. Can he opt for a CB Highness 20 days wing upcoming Yamaha FZX?
Not really. I mean, I know it. The waiting game is sometimes painful when you really want your motorcycle. You just want it as soon as possible. But I think again, going back to the lower back pain that you've been talking about, I would suggest the Himalayan is still the better option. It's still the more comfortable option, and I would say better wait, for those 120 days than settle for something that will continue to give you a problem. So I would say that the Himalayan is still the better bet out of these two. The FZX, no, not really. It's a very tiny motorcycle. Yes, it's got an upright seating, but again, not something that you would probably want to ride for longer distances. And that saddle is not as comfortable as, I've not ridden that motorcycle, but I don't expect it to be very different than the FZ or the FZS that we've ridden in the past. So that saddle and that riding posture may not be very comfortable for long hours in the saddle. Honda CB Highness, again, nice city bike, but if I were to compare the comfort levels, for example, from Mumbai, if I had to go to Goa, in one day, I would choose the Himalayan because I know it will leave me with much lesser pain as compared to a CB Highness. So from that perspective, I would still suggest it's okay to wait. Just wait and get yourself the bike that you're going to be more comfortable with than to get something just for that smaller waiting period and then cursing the motorcycle for the pain that you will have. So I wouldn't suggest either of these over the Himalayan.
But Ashwin wants to know, will Kushaq and Taigun come with paddle shifters at least in the top variants?
Will Kushaq and Taigun come with paddle shifters at least in the top variants? Not as of now. On the top variants, they may have this offering. We still don't know what the feature list looks like entirely. We'll have some details on that shortly. Of course, by the end of the month is when you'll have at least a lot more information on the Kushaq. Because that's when Skoda looking at launching the Kushaq. Things are delayed. They'll be coming out very shortly. So we will have a lot more information what the feature list is for you on the Kushaq for that matter. Taigun, possibly, again, the same situation as the Kushaq. We don't know whether they're going to be priced and how they're going to be features, what the specification of the features is going to be like. But we are looking at roughly August. Or late August launch for the Taigun, and of course June is by the end of June is when the Kushaq is there. So yeah, accordingly you'll have a better idea about what these cars have to offer in just a few weeks from now.
All right.
So shall we take this question, the winning question, Sohini?
Yeah.
So I picked up 4 of these questions today. First one, of course, Purav Sharda, with the decline in mid-size sedans, is there some room for larger hatchbacks like the Ford Focus and the Volkswagen Golf in India? Second question was from Suyash Call, with the prices of new Octavia, should we assume the prices of Kushaq to be higher as well, given the investment Volkswagen Group put in Kushaq Tiguan models? 1.5 TSI can go above 20 lakhs. Well, okay, Suyash, let me answer this question. We've not answered this question. I don't believe we have answered this question. And that's with the Kushaq, what Skoda is going to be looking at, or with the Tiguan for that matter, Skoda and Volkswagen is going to be looking at is larger volumes, undoubtedly. So it's the way they do this is, if you're going to be, it's how would I put it? Mercedes and sometimes even Mercedes and Maruti possibly would be earning the same amount of money. It just to it's a very rough and not the range of examples, but Mercedes selling 100 cars would make as much money as Maruti selling 1 lakh cars. Essentially, the price falls on the same thing. So you could price a car higher and at a more premium space, but sell fewer numbers of them, still earn that kind of money, or you could sell a huge number of cars at much lesser prices and still earn the same amount of money as the manufacturer of the premium car does. So putting the Kushaq and the Tiguan for that matter, the volumes that you will get from these are much higher than the Octavia for that matter. So the profitability will still be there with these cars, and you can afford to price them at a lower price point. Also keep in mind, a lot of the cars, both the Kushaq and the Tiguan, a lot of them, most of them, or each and every variant for that matter, I think maybe some of the variants may not have an issue, but they are all manufactured over here, locally not assembled, locally manufactured over here. Localization is very high in these products, so you will be able to get the pricing far more affordable, more competitive for that matter, and that's why they will be priced. I don't think they will go up to the 25 lakh rupee bracket. I definitely hope they don't go. What you might see at the 25 lakh rupee bracket is possibly the higher variants, and possibly one or two of the manufacturers, either Volkswagen or Skoda, might touch that point. But I assume at this point in time, we're looking at a car that will be priced somewhere about 7 to 18 lakh rupees, going up to about 20 lakhs on average. At the very top, fully automatic version of the turbo petrol would possibly go up to about 23, 24 lakhs. That's where I think Skoda and Volkswagen should find their pricing at.
Alright, guys, please do send us an email on digitalshow@overdrive.co.in.
That we've seen. One is, of course, Yash Kankulkar, who asked us, I feel Octavia doesn't make sense because its price so close to Superb, but spending almost 35 lakhs, adding few more and upgrading should be a smarter thing. Our opinion, we've told you what our opinion was, but if you are going to spend that kind of money, keep in mind when the new Superb comes in, it will be priced even more expensive than what it is at right now. So this kind of defeats the issue about where these two are going to be priced and how they're going to be spaced and what would make more sense, because the upcoming Superb will definitely be a lot more expensive than what it is at right now. Also keep in mind, a lot of these prices are now higher because they sport the latest BS6 variants, and BS6 modifications, changes have raised prices for all manufacturers in the market across segments. Everything is a lot more expensive than what it used to be with the BS4 engines and those powertrains. So that's one of the reasons also why these cars are more expensive. Subsequently, even the next generation Superb, for that matter, which will come down to India, will be a lot more expensive than what it is currently priced at. And the last question, the winning question you got is from Abhishek Bhattacharya. Sir, going for Porsche Cayenne Turbo Petrol, is it better than the RSQ8? But you've also given me another story idea, Abhishek, over here. And let's see if we can get our hands on the Cayenne Turbo Petrol and, of course, the RSQ8 both at the same time, so that we can do this story and see which one of these two cars is better. Rohit smiling there, he's got a story in his head.
Of course, I mean, who wouldn't want to test these two cars together? Especially with the intent of finding out which one's better.
Absolutely.
But Yash is very keen on starting a forum with you like Team BHP. Why only with Bot? What is this forum that you guys want to start?
Guys, Yash, we used to have a forum years ago. We had a very active forum, one of the better ones in the country at that point in time. Of course, Team BHP also stays there. But to be honest, it got extremely difficult to manage it. We had several moderators, people who are like you out there, who used to also help us moderate this. But essentially, over a period of time, it kind of the value really wasn't there, and we kind of stopped it. We just couldn't. We couldn't sustain it for a very long time simply because of manpower issues. And as we got into television, as the website came out. We are today on so many mediums. We are in print, we are on website, social media, television, videos. We do the digital video, the digital live show. There's just so many things that we do in between all this that it gets harder and harder to manage and navigate through more options. So it's something that we've decided not to do. Hope we may come back to it, but that's again if we have the right amount of manpower and the right kind of manpower to help support this, then of course we can start a forum as well.
And what Anish is asking, does OD have a presence on Clubhouse? What is Clubhouse? It sounds very exotic.
Well, Clubhouse is something absolutely new, but yeah, I will be getting on to Clubhouse very soon. I have not signed up. I've just got an invitation recently, and I will get on to Clubhouse, and let's see, we can definitely do something on Clubhouse as well. But again, like I said, guys, putting all of our efforts into so many mediums and doing so many things, you need to take a judicious call as to where all do you need to be seen, how much of it do you need to be seen on, and does it all work for us? It's something that let's see. We're not sure how and where this will go, but we need people to work on this, and hopefully we've got sanctions in the future that will help us expand our team and enable us to get onto various platforms and provide information to all of you out there.
Nitin Josh is giving you a story idea. Need Urus versus
Peddling invitations. So you need invites, let me know. So he's the take me to your dealer of Clubhouse.
Alright. Here Nitin is saying that Urus versus RS, Q8 versus Cayenne. That's another story that he would be keen on watching.
Yes, we never get our hands on the Urus. We've been after Lamborghini for ages now to give us the Urus and to do something with it. But let me be very candid over here. And one of the biggest challenges we face is distance restrictions. Keep in mind, a lot of these supercar manufacturers give us a car and say you can't drive it for more than 20 kilometers, more than 15 kilometers, more than 25 kilometers. And this is an enormous challenge to us as to how to get a story out to you. And in the past, we have entirely refused to do this. We've also started refusing manufacturers saying, can you just come down to the showroom and do a walk around of our car? Can you just do it on television? Can you do a video around it? And I've told them that absolutely not. That's not going to happen because it's a waste of our time. We are not here in the business to promote your product and to talk about it for that matter. At the end of the day, we are a testing and evaluating media house. We test and evaluate cars, and for that we need to drive these cars. This conversation I've been having with a couple of supercar manufacturers for almost a year and a half now is to give us the cars for a fair amount of distance so that we can drive and evaluate them. I do understand their concerns as well. It's always a challenge for them to do this because it just kind of the wear and tear on the car becomes frightfully expensive and something that they cannot afford. But I don't ever see a Urus coming down to to a comparison test for that matter, or for something for us to do very interestingly. I've seen other publications or media houses doing some content, of course, around it. But keep in mind, these cars are still driven for 35 kilometers and then made to look like they've been driven for 350 kilometers, when actually they're just put onto a flatbed and then transported everywhere, point A to point B. And then for the 5 kilometers, just for the photography and video shoots, will be taken off and shot, and a story comes out of that. I'm sorry, but we're not in the business of doing that. I'd like to drive a car thoroughly to its limits. And the safest way to do this is, I hope, when the lockdown opens, we get access to overseas again. We possibly do a story in Europe, because there isn't any difference between the European spec and the Indian spec for that matter. So we're comfortable doing the cars over there. Manufacturers are very comfortable giving us those cars in Europe as well, because we've got the budget. They can take care of these cars far easier. It's always easy to get those cars in Europe. So let's hope lockdown lifts off. I have got OV Shield, so I've got a passport to fly.
First dose, no. Second is still left, no?
Sorry, I didn't know what you're saying.
I said first dose, right? Second dose is still left, no?
Second dose is still pending, which will hopefully happen now, now that vaccinations are available all over again. So, yes. All right,
Yes,
guys, I think we need to wind up.
the show long enough.
Yes.
We had quite a few questions and we haven't been able to take a lot.
Sorry, guys, for those of you who haven't been, whose questions we haven't been able to answer. But you can also drop those questions on digitalshow@overdrive.co.in and we'll answer them over there. And any queries that you have, do keep posting it on digitalshow@overdrive.co.in. The winners, please send us a query. Just send us a mail on digitalshow@overdrive.co.in. and we will get our subscriptions to you starting off very, very soon. I do hope all the winners in the past are enjoying their copies and you're getting your subscriptions, you're getting the issues with you. Just in case you haven't, please mention this to us and we will look at this immediately and ensure that you get your copies ASAP. Next week, we've got a fairly interesting exclusive story for you. And Rohit's been quite, maybe say, busy the last few weeks, jumping between Pune and Bombay very eagerly to get all these stories to you. But yeah, it's a fantastic story and looking forward to next week. Have a nice weekend, guys. Enjoy the rains. Those of you who are in the Western Hemisphere, enjoy the rains.
No,
Phenomenal monsoon happening. Have a great weekend.
Don't enjoy it yet. We need to take a look at what's coming up show tomorrow. So you have to tune in at 1 p.m. on CNBC TV 18. We've got a detailed review of the all-new Skoda Octavia, and we also road test the second generation Mercedes-Benz GLA. In case you missed the first telecast, you can also catch up with the show on Sunday at 12:30 p.m. as well as 8 o'clock. You can also stream the show live on cnbc18.com/live TV. Thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, Shoja, you want the show to be 2 hours? We don't want to extend it to 2 hours. We want you to keep coming back to us every week at 6 p.m. with more questions. We don't want to,
Sohini, before we write off, come on, I have to give this guy a free digital subscription. Abhinav Aryan, he's still watching and he sent a saying, I am a Gujar from Noida and I want 30-inch wheels for the WagonR. My friend, if you can fit 30-inch wheels on a WagonR, I mean, I'll be the first guy to road test that car and give you a full lowdown and everything that is possible. But bhai, tu sirf tire chalayega, mat kar aise. Oh, good one, Abhinav. Fantastic way to end up my weekend. Brilliant, man. If you can do that, and I think it will be possible, you can do that. You can definitely put 30 inches, but the work of the suspension, you will have to really lift up your suspension. You can put 30 inches. You'll have to import those vehicles from your overseas, but you can do that. There will be crazier people than you, but go for it, man. I'd love to see that car and drive that if you ever do it.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week then. Thanks so much for joining us this week.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. See ya.
Thank you. Good night. See you.